You wanted to talk about mic technique.
Yeah, I know. We've all kind of talked about it. We've touched on it many different times. And I figured, I've got some more mics in here that I don't usually have on hand. So I thought it might be a nice opportunity to kind of demonstrate mic positioning for large diaphragm condenser mics, exactly like the one Dan has. Or or a shotgun mic, because I have a 416 here that I don't normally have. It's an interesting microphone, and it has a certain sound, and it has a very unique pickup pattern, and it's just on a very unusual microphone. So right now, you guys know I'm speaking into my headset microphone, which is why I can do this while I talk, which is kind of fun. And it sounds pretty good. But let's switch over to the AT3035, which I think is this one.
Exactly what I'm using.
So same mic that Dan has, and all of a sudden it's a lot more full and just round and smooth sound. I mean, what a difference, right? I mean, when you hear the two back to back, it's like night and day. And I would probably use it more. It's just now that I'm so used to my headset mic, I've gotten really lazy. I never, ever have to think about mic placement, consistency. I never have to be on mic. It's just there. So that's why I think, a really good headset mic someday could become maybe one of the next big voiceover mics, especially for long form narration where you're working hours and hours on end. But anyway, so the headset mic is right here. It's really, really small. As you can see right there. It's a tiny, tiny little element. And the technology now has gotten to the point where they can get these to sound nearly as good as one of these. And if you ask DPA microphones, which I think I had a little NAMM show clip from them a couple months ago, they'll tell you that the quality is definitely there. In fact, if you saw Les Mis in the theaters, almost all the dialogue, actually singing, because most of it's singing, was actually sung on camera live with a microphone that had an element this big on it, right? So the technology is amazing. How can you tell which mic is on? Scratch the grill. It's very obvious. Never, ever tap on the mic or bang on the mic, especially if you're at a commercial studio. Matter of fact, just don't even touch the mic at a commercial studio. The engineers are really particular about that stuff. But scratching the mic in your own studio is a really great way to find out, is that the right mic? I got paid 2 times in the last week to go to someone's house and do this. Oh, you're not using the right mic. And people feel very embarrassed, when you tell them this, and it's sometimes some pretty high-end clients of mine that run into this problem. So make sure you're using the right mic. So I'm using a 3035, and as you can see, it's a little bit above my mouth. So here's the bottom of the mic. If I was to make an imaginary line, it's right here, right below my nose. But so if I had a copy stand, I'd probably have it right here in front of my face. Let me get it more on camera here. Oops. There we go. So if I had a copy stand, I'd probably want to have it right here, nice up and high. And if it's not high enough where it's literally at eye level, there's nothing wrong with this mic at getting up even higher. Let me get this 416 out of my face. You can work it at a pretty good distance. We'll do the good old hang 10, thumb and pinky to mic technique. And as you can see, I can be at a nice distance from this mic and still sound very much on mic. In fact, I can turn myself to the side now. Now I'm facing at about maybe 30 degrees from the microphone. And again, if this 416 wasn't here, I had this huge field of view in front of me, completely unobstructed, where I could put a copy stand. And another beautiful thing is because the microphone is facing towards my mouth, but I'm not facing towards the mic, I don't have to worry about plosives. Popping a mic is pretty much impossible when the microphone is either slightly to the side or slightly above your mouth, because those balls of air, boom, they shoot out pretty much in a straight line, depending on your mouth. And if you're frowning or whatever, it can go at different angles, but it generally shoots out pretty directionally. And the sound of your voice radiates out more in a radial pattern from your mouth, sort of in all directions. So you can be a little bit further off the mic, again, as long as your room acoustics are in pretty good shape. If you're in a small booth without really, really well treated room, the further off that microphone you get, the more it sounds like that little box that you're in. It gets really boxy sounding. And products like Dan's Studio Suite, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure, do a pretty good job at soaking up all that low to mid-range junk that the microphone is hearing. And that can go a long way to dealing with that problem. But if you can get further off the mic, it sounds more natural. You've got more room to move around the microphone and be more flexible. And as long as you keep that axis of the pickup pointing at your mouth, you can move a heck of a lot around the microphone and still sound like you're on mic. So that leads me to the next one, and that would be the 416. And this mic is a lot more difficult to work because of that, the incredible tight pickup pattern. Let me switch mics here. So now I'm on the 416. Drastically different sounding microphone, isn't it? I mean, it's incredible how, matter of fact, it's so different. I'm making sure this is not my headset mic that's on, right? Like, I'm like, are you sure this is the same? You know,
Sounds the same. Somewhat.
It's just, they're so different once you've listened to yourself on one for a while, you know? But anyway, so the 416 is an interesting animal because it's got a much narrower pickup pattern. So if I go slightly off to the side one way or the other and talk off axis a bit, this microphone just starts losing the top end. It just starts sounding less and less present. And I'm of the line of thought where that this microphone works really well up high and pointed down. And I think this microphone works a little bit better pointed down towards your mouth, or even more so down towards your chest, because then it can pick up more chest resonance, which, depending on the acoustics of the room, can sound really good. I find in a large room, or if you're in an office where the entire room is treated and there's not a bass resonance problem, you end up sounding on a little bit on the thin side with a 416 because it doesn't really have much proximity effect. As you can see, I can get further and closer to this microphone, and while my volume changes, the low end on my voice does not change a whole lot. So, you know, you sometimes you need all the bottom end you can get, and when you point the mic down towards your chest more, you know, when you talk, you can feel your voice, you can feel your chest vibrating, and the microphone, if pointed at it, will pick it up. So it gets a little bit more of a rich sound. But what if you have to speak straight into it? I'm not a fan of the sound of this mic straight in. I think it sounds a little strident. I think it sounds a little mid-rangey. I think it's not my favorite position, but some people find that for the type of read they're doing, when they have to really cut into a mix with a lot of music and stuff, that they like working it this way. Well, then you need a pop screen. And there's not a lot of pop screens out there that are made to work on a 416. Yes, you can use almost any gooseneck pop screen you want. I find them sometimes to be really awkward. I just can't seem to get in position correctly, and they can be frustrating. So the same guy that made the pop screen that we sold with our little logo on it, EWABS pop screen, I started talking to him, Mike Frenchick. I said, hey, man, what if we made one for 416? Well, this is what he came up with. This thing literally slides and straps right onto the barrel of the microphone. And I can speak pretty much straight into it. Now, with any pop screen and any microphone, you may still get pops. The element is so sensitive that if you do blast a ball of air straight down the barrel, so to speak, it will pop. So it's not a perfect solution, but if you need a pop screen to be able to work it this tightly and not have to worry so much about plosives, this pop screen's pretty cool. It takes up almost no space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so people are wondering, does this pop screen change the sound of the mic? Because this thing is strapped onto the barrel of the shotgun. Is it going to make a difference? Well, let's find out. So let's pull this thing off. So now I'm talking into the mic without the pop screen on. And my answer is yes. It definitely makes a difference. I can hear a distinct difference when this thing is not on the microphone.
It sounds much cleaner now.
It sounds much cleaner. So this is basically, we did a live beta test on the show where I got to, because I never really A/B'd this thing before. I tried it and saw it worked well, but it's clear to me now that this thing strapped onto the barrel of the mic absolutely changes the voicing of the mic. It really does. So, you know, this thing, while it's a great idea, the problem may lie in a couple things. It could be, one, these concentric rings causing resonance, and two, it could be the Velcro strap, which is surrounding part of the microphone. But if I put my finger around the mic where the strap was, it doesn't change that much. So I'm thinking it must be these rings. What they're doing is they're blocking the sound and reflecting it back into the mic, changing the tone of the mic.
That's
so anyway, might have to go back to the drawing board on this design, but it was a cool way to test it. But anyway, that's my little spiel on mic placement. keeping the plosives at bay, keeping the popping at bay, keeping the proximity effect at bay. Sometimes you can work them like really tight as long as that thing's right down the middle of your mouth.